Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigval Grim here, and welcome to the tier list for all the characters in Injustice 2 Mobile for the month of November. In this episode we're going to of course add Martian Manhunter to the tier list, and we're going to make some changes regarding to the previous month because of some things that happened, and when there's a character that's going to have a position that's kind of changed regarding the last month's tier list, I'm going to just go over it more in depth and explain my opinion. In making this tier list, I will keep in mind the Arena, Champions Arena, Raids, and Solo Raids performance. But Raids and Solo Raids performance, especially Solo Raids, are going to be much higher regarded because when you build a character for Raids and Solo Raids, it's going to by default perform well for you in Arena and CA, but that does not go the other way around. And yet again, this is just my personal opinion. If you disagree with this, it's totally fine. Make sure to let me know down in the comment what's your opinion. Maybe we have a discussion about it, and maybe for the next month's tier list you are actually going to bring up a change to the tier list that's going to be beneficial for the tier list, for me, and for the entire community. And also, if you enjoy this, I do it every month, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the D tier. Characters in D tier are characters that you should never use except for the early parts of the game. Like when you make a new account, any character that you get has the potential of being a good character. But as the game progresses and as you go further into it, those characters are just not going to be up to par with other characters. Some of them are irredeemably bad, or some of them actually have just counterparts that are so far better. For example, over here in this tier we'll have Blade Master Robin, and Blade Master Robin is a decent combo builder, but the thing is we have enough combo builders that are going to be far better than him, to the point where we don't actually need to build him as a combo builder. Like if there was to be missing some characters that we have today, like if we didn't have Reverse Flash, then he might have been a little bit higher than this. But yeah, and other characters are just irredeemably bad, like Enraged Bane. But yeah, let's get into it for each. Cheetah. Her abilities do nothing, and her passive is going to give her armor pierce on basic attacks after she uses an ability, but her abilities do not chain into basic attacks. It's just a badly designed character with a bad kit that does simply not fit at all into any team or do anything. Next up, we got Enraged Bane. And I've come to think about this, like when you think about the worst character in Injustice Mobile, in my opinion, two characters come to mind. Enraged Bane and Sonic Black Canary, because their passives are utterly useless. Like Sonic Black Canary's passive is going to disable the blocks for the opponent, but when you're using her, the AI is going to anyways be able to hit you, because it's going to be reliant on being able to put yourself in a position to start a combo, because the enemy kind of has a fair advantage and will hit harder than you. So disabling the block of the enemy is totally useless to you in that regard. And with Bane, after you are hit with an ability, you're going to have unblockable. When you're hit with an ability, there are two scenarios. One, you get hit with the ability without blocking, and that's inherently bad, so you shouldn't do that. But the other options is that you block the ability, and then Enraged Bane will get unblockable. But the thing is, after you block an ability for the enemy, you are guaranteed to chain a combo anyway. So, in regards to those two, they are both inherently bad, but I think Enraged Bane is the worst character in Injustice 2 Mobile, because with Sonic Black Canary, there's one thing that her passive actually does, and it's very annoying. When you fight against her, the gameplay in Injustice 2 Mobile, even if you're not going to block yourself the thing, you're going to rely on the block to kind of speed up the backwards animation. So if she disables your block, you're going to have awkward backwards animation, so that's why I think she's just the second worst and Enraged Bane is the worst. Anyway, we got the Catwomans, both the silver and the gold one. They're going to give you a little bit of extra gold in the operations, and the gold from the operations is not a lot. That's not why you do operations, and at the same time the operations are where you usually level up new characters, so I don't think they really have any use. Primal Swamp Thing. Like, previously this was the worst character in Injustice Mobile, but they fixed the bug where he could not chain a full combo without getting interrupted. It's got a passive that allows him to revive, but that's about it. Definitely not the worst character in Injustice Mobile, but not good. Blade Master Robin, like, honestly, if I was to lift one character from this tier to the above tier, would be Blade Master Robin, and if you want to do that, then be my guest. But it's simply the fact that he is just a below average combo builder, and there's not a huge need for combo builders right now, and we have characters that can combo build much better than him. Scarecrow is going to be just a silver character with a passive that is going to not allow the opponent to tag out. and stun them, and yeah, that's okay, but that's as far as it goes. Silver Swamp Thing is going to have a passive that regenerates some health for him when he uses an ability, I think, but that regen is unreliable and is not strong enough to really be worth it. Next up we got the Wonder Woman characters, the silver ones. I was like in the previous tiers, I'm going to put a little bit higher any character that has a shield, but I'm not doing that anymore because even though they have a shield and they perform decently in Arena and CA, you're most likely not going to use them. By the time you are going to unlock those two, you are most likely going to have better characters. I think you get Wonder Woman for free, but she's just going to stay at 1 star. So yeah, I don't think they are even worth putting higher because of only the fact that they've got a shield. Same goes with Silver Gorilla Grodd. Like with Silver Gorilla Grodd, I could have put him a little bit higher because of the fact that he's going to have a shield and also be able to do an infinite combo with his basic attacks when the enemy is in the corner. But so does Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd, and Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd is going to be a little bit better, so we might as well just put him here and Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd a little bit higher. Next up we got Silver Bed Deadshot, an underwhelming passive, like it's going to give some crit to your team, but not much crit. Firestorm is going to give some dart resistance to your team, but you kind of never find yourself in a situation where you're going to need that. Silver Joker is going to stun the enemy if he dies, and that's great, but he needs to die first, and I'm not a fan of that. Then Silver Black Canary, like she's got some synergy with Silver Green Arrow, and if you put her in the same team with him, I think she could make it to the C tier, but nah, I don't think she's really worth the struggle. So this was everything for the D tier. Those are characters that you should definitely use in the early parts of the game to boost yourself through the early stage of Arena, but on the long run, most of them are not going to be a good investment. Still, maybe that Blade Master Robin, maybe, but I'm just not going to put him in the higher tier for now. Maybe next time. Now let's get into the C tier. Now we're going to go to the C tier. In the C tier we got characters that either have kits that kind of work in a way but don't work as they should or as intended, or characters that are just lesser version of other characters, or characters that are simply average and are not going to provide you with anything. And we're going to start off with Blue Beetle. Like this man can get himself armor piercing basic attacks with one of his abilities, can get himself defense or damage reduction, I don't even remember which one of them was, and lethal attack chance. In theory it's a very complicated character if you think about it, and seems like a pretty well made character. The problem is, first of all, nobody uses him, so we don't have any reference to it. And yeah, Michoran made a video where he hits Darkseid with Blue Beetle, and he deals quite a lot of damage because he got a level 10 Firebox. But other than that, Blue Beetle is a character that nobody's going to use, a character that is useless in raids and soul raids, and is not good enough to be worth building only for Arena and CA. Next up, Batman Ninja Batman. And some of you might think that he deserves a higher tier, but I don't think so. Like, he is by far the worst Batman Ninja character, because all the others have kind of a role in the Batman Ninja team. Like, Batman Ninja or Joker can be the damage dealer instead of Batman Ninja Catwoman if you want him to be. Not as good, but close to it. Batman Ninja Harley Quinn is going to be far worse than him in combat, but by having her in your roster, you're going to increase passively the stats of your Batman Ninja characters. He just doesn't fit anywhere in the Batman Ninja team. Like, one thing that I really like about him, and it's the only good thing about him, is going to be his special one, because it's a dot that follows the enemy and blinds them. His passive is crap because you're going to get some bonuses like critical attack chance by being hit by a critical attack chance. So it's not only going to be something that's random generated effect that's dependent on you, it's going to be dependent on the enemy, and that's just crap. Next up, Captain Cold. Captain Cold is yet again an underwhelming character. Like, he's got a passive that I think reduces the critical attack damage that you receive. He's going to have a power zone, his special one. He's going to lock one of the opponent's abilities. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the Captain Cold characters are so much fun to play. They got such smooth kits. I just wish they were a little bit better, but he's going to just stay over here for now. Dark Supergirl. Maybe the worst design character in Just 2 Mobile that led to one of the best design characters in Just 2 Mobile. So the thing is, she's going to be able to interrupt enemies' abilities when she tags in, and she's going to receive a huge amount of attack and a huge amount of critical chance. She's the only character, as far as I'm aware, in Just 2 Mobile that has 100% critical attack chance when she does that. And on paper it sounds great, but she has one huge design flaw. They forgot to give her the ability to chain an ability or a basic attack from that tagging combo. So you're going to tag in, you're going to interrupt the enemy, you're going to get attack, and you're going to get crit for a limited amount of time. But you're not going to be able to chain anything from that. And by the time you're able to chain some basic attacks or an ability, you are most likely going to lose that buff. And this kind of forces you in awkward situations where you're doing your best to re-engage the enemy to make use of that, and you might die trying. So yeah, but her being in the game and having that interruption on tagging led to one of the best characters in Injustice Mobile and one of the most enjoyable to play and frustrating to play against, which is Multiverse Armored Supergirl. So props to that, but I'm sorry, you are just the lesser version that led to a far better version. Powered Supergirl is going to be the worst Supergirl character in Injustice Mobile as far as I'm aware. Actually, I don't even know why I put her in the C tier. Let's pretend she's in the D tier. Like, the only thing that stands out for her is some dot on the special one. Her passive will give her a chance to do a special one for free when she uses basic attacks. But thanks, you're allowing me to do for free an ability that costs 3 bars of power. That's not great. Next up, Silver Green Arrow. He's going to have a power drain, and that's good. He's going to have some synergy with like Silver, Black, and Airy, but the power drain is the only reason why he's is not lower on this list. Sorcerer Darker Fate, he's not good at anything except for doing super moves. Like, when he does a super move, he's going to swap the health with the enemy. And basically, the gameplay is that you get yourself very low, and you use a super move against a full health enemy, you get his full health, and then you kill him. But I've got a question on the last tier list, and they're like, does this apply to raids? No, it does not apply to raids, it does not apply to soul raids. This is only usable in Arena and Champions Arena. And while this is a very powerful ability, you can use it only once per battle, and I don't think it's enough to really land him any additional position on this one. Next up, Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd. Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd is going to be just a better version of the Silver Gorilla Grodd. He's going to have a shield, and he's going to be able to do that infinite combo. He's going to have a little bit higher stats because that's how it goes with gold characters. And at the same time, he's going to interrupt the taggings of the enemies, tagging them back in and dealing some damage to them. Overall, pretty decent character in Arena NCA, but not that much in terms of raids, soul raids, or anything like that. Next up, Unbreakable Cyborg. Unbreakable Cyborg is going to revive, Unbreakable Cyborg is going to have a stun, Unbreakable Cyborg is going to have a power drain, but those abilities are just underwhelming overall to place him any higher, and it's going to be decent in Arena ICA, but again, not doing anything in Raids and Soul Raids. Like, next up, Unhinged Harley Quinn. Like, I could have put her in the D tier, but I guess I'll put her here because she's a little bit better. The thing about her is that if you kill an enemy with your anything, with her, if she kills an enemy, that enemy is going to join your team and fight for you with a lower amount of health, of course. And the problem is, if you're going to be able to kill an enemy in the first place, you most likely don't want or need him in your team. Next up is going to be the Warrior Queen Wonder Woman. She's going to have a shield and she's going to have armor pierce on the special one. The passive is not going to do that much. It's going to sound basically a lesser version of her that does far less than her. But yeah, C tier. With all that being said, those characters in the C tier are characters that you might eventually be able to use in Arena NCA, but are definitely not a priority. And if you had none of those characters in the C tier, then it would be no overall detriment to your roster. Now let's move on to the B tier. Now moving up to the B tier. In B tier we have characters that are not really must-have characters, I guess with one or two exceptions, but overall, if you have them, you're going to feel more or less of a benefit to your roster. Those are characters that are not going to be the best thing in the world, you might not even get to build them eventually, but overall they are going to be characters that are going to be just good to have there, maybe built for some specific situation, but that's about it. Not the top-notch characters, but literally a little bit above average. And we're going to start with two members of the Suicide Squad like Harley and Deadshot. Enchantress is a little bit higher and I'll talk about that later, but they are going to be amazing in Arena NCA. But the thing is about them, they're just going to do that. They are useless in raids and soul raids, and at the same time, you need the full Suicide Squad team to make them work, and you need gears for all of them to make them work. So that's going to be a very long and far-fetched investment. Like, that's one of the least things you want to invest in. Next up, your homeboy Armored Superman. Like this dude is going to have a shield that denies an ability from the enemy. This dude is going to have a shield. This dude is going to give defense to your team. And this dude is going to be free because you'll unlock him from achievements. Definitely good to have, but at the end of the day, he's not going to have anything that he can do just himself. That's just restricted to himself, and he will not have anything that is going to get him apart from other characters. Next up, Silverbane. Silverbane is going to be the best poor man support character because he's going to give you more damage on basic attacks and more critical attack chance, and that's going to be great. The only problem with him is that he's not in any of the great teams because when you build a character, you're going to by default have maximum critical attack chance. You're not going to build him like, let's build this guy considering I'll have my Silverbane in the team. So that's why he falls off. Like in the early game, amazing character. For teams that don't have fully built characters, amazing character, but other than that, not much. He is much, okay, but he's not going to be with the big boys up there. Like, it's a good sign when you don't need Rage Pain in the team anymore. Next up, we have Batmanja Harley Quinn. Like, she's going to be trash when you use her as a character, but on the other hand, she's going to give you passive attack and health for Batmanja characters just by being in your roster. And the other Batmanja characters are going to be higher tier. Most of them are the highest tier, actually. So that's why she's all the way here, because she's going to buff some of the highest tier characters in the entire game. Next up, we have Classic Batman. Classic Batman, I don't really find him useful as a character himself. Like, he's borderline useful in Arena and CA, I guess. But it's good that he's going to passively buff again all the Batman characters that you have just by being in your roster. Classic Superman. You could argue for Classic Superman being a little bit higher because he's going to be able to reduce the defense with his special 2. He's got that on the special 3, and he's going to be a very great support for normal raids. But it's just, yet it's still not enough people having the Radiant Artifact, but once everybody gets their hands on a Radiant Artifact, he will be replaced by an artifact put on the combo builder that will do his job basically, and you'll just free up a slot in that team for another character. Next up, Emerald Green Lantern. He's going to have an overall very useful passive that he can do, giving you tagging bonuses, and he's going to have a shield, so that's going to be amazing stuff, but yet again is not the best thing in the world in terms of support characters and not present in any top-notch teams. Next up, Flora Poison Ivy. Great damage dealer for Arena and CA because of her armor piercing special 2. Not as great to make it a higher tier just for that fact alone. We'll have some characters that make it to all the way to the higher tier for being Arena good alone, and that's an amazing feat coming for me because I'm really taking into consideration higher raids and slow raids. So the fact that she's here for Arena alone is amazing in itself. Has armor piercing on special 2. Special 2 is amazing. All you need to know. Great. It's going to be an average tank, and when he fights the Justice League team, he's going to be an amazing tank because he's able to kind of deny the passive of the cyborgs that he fights. At the same time, some people use him as a tank for phase 3 because he's immune to power drain. I don't really do that. Next up, Hellboy. He's going to be like, he's got armor piercing on his special tree. He's going to receive some bonuses on his passive when he fights arcane opponents, and that's not going to be amazing because it's very situational. And overall, if you think about it, this character doesn't do anything except for when he fights dot damage. Except for when he fights dot damage, because this character's passive is going to allow him to heal himself from the dot damage that he receives. Not only is he going to have 100% resistance to that damage, he's going to instead heal equal to the amount of damage that he would have received. So in the previous tiers I have put him a little bit higher, but I realized that it's a little bit too specific to put him so high, but nevertheless, if you want to use him for that thing alone, for tanking phase 3 and stuff, or using him in solo raid fights where you fight bosses that have hazards on the ground, amazing character. Next up, Horrific Scarecrow. Yet again, same deal as EGL. Universal support, you can't go wrong with putting him in any team, but he's not the go-to for any team. Justice League Batman. Justice League Batman is going to be like he's one of the worst Justice League members, if not the worst. Like, he's got bad basic attacks, and that says a lot when you need to put him in a team that relies on basic attacks. His buff to the Justice League team is going to be only effective in Arena and CA. He's not going to be seen anywhere near raids or solo raids. And at the same time, he's yet again got bad basic attacks, and there are so many better options when you talk about Justice League team. Next up, Multiverse Black Lightning. Multiverse Black Lightning is going to be a good character all around. Like, he's got Armor Pierce on his special 3, he's got dot damage on his special 2, one of the best dot damage special 2s in the entire game. Good character, but there are better multiverse characters. Next up, Multiverse Batwoman. Like, she would be the best multiverse damage dealer if Multiverse Armor Supergirl did not exist. But the problem is, Multiverse Armor Supergirl does exist, and she replaces her all the way. Like, she's a decent character, could be a decent damage dealer, but we'll never know that because Multiverse Armor Supergirl is such a better damage dealer compared to her. Next up, Multiverse Captain Cold. Multiverse Captain Cold is yet again a decent character, but there are better multiverse characters. He's not going to be a go-to in the best multiverse team, but he's going to be a well-rounded character. Next up, Multiverse White Canary. Like, I would have put her in the lower tier, but lately there's been a strategy where you can use the Radian on Multiverse White Canary and just place her in phase 3 near the left corner of the map and use a special tree to disable Brainiac's abilities and then use Silver Banshee. Like, this character here enabled Silver Banshee use in phase 3, and for that alone she's going to be B tier and not C tier. Mythic Wonder Woman. I've played with her a lot lately. I've really played a lot with her lately in the new account that I made because she was in the arena seasons. And she's a Justice League member. In theory, she will receive buffs from the Justice League teammates, but she will not give any of them back in return. So that's a pretty big problem over there. And at the same time, she does not have the basic attacks in the world because her swipe right is kind of trash and you can't really tag him from that. But she's got armor pierce, she's got a shield, she's going to receive some damage when she's going to be killing an enemy. Overall, a pretty solid character, but not a character that I will stick in a Justice League team anytime soon. Nightwing, versatile character. It's like an upgrade version of Blue Beetle, a character that does not really know what he should be, but he's kind of good at everything all around the board, and he simply seems a little bit more effective than Blue Beetle, and you can also kind of use him as a support character and the combo builder because of the fact that he gains power when he gets hit. Next up, we got Red Hood. Red Hood is going to be good at one thing and one thing alone: extending the duration of the fight with his super move. And for most teams, this is not going to be great, but for the multiverse team against Captain Cold, this is going to be the best thing they are going to get. So he's here for that reason alone, being the best support character for the multiverse team when they are fighting Captain Cold. Next up, we got Silver Aquaman. Silver Aquaman's got the power drain, I guess, and I wouldn't have put him all the way to B tier for that reason alone, but the thing is, he's also going to give your team stun resistance for every might character that you have. And him, with Batman Jaguar Lagroth and with Kim Flans Aquaman, is going to be one of the best teams to fight boss last of the Joker. For that reason alone, he's here. Other than that, he's not that amazing. Next up, we got Silver Cyborg and Silver Batman, and they're going to be great characters. Like, Silver Cyborg is going to be a good tank, Silver Batman is going to be a good damage dealer, but the problem is, with Silver Cyborg, there's not really a huge need of tanks in Just 2 Mobile in general, and he's a Silver yet again, and you don't get his gears from raid drops, so you need to build him from scratch. And with Silver Batman, literally the same problem. It's going to be just a lesser version of Predator Batman. Like, think about it. Predator Batman deals more or less the same damage as him. Predator Batman's got an armor pierce on the special 1. Predator Batman can be a combo builder for Silver Banshee, and Predator Batman is going to get some of his gears from raid drops. So if Predator Batman did not exist, maybe we would put this guy a little bit higher, but for now it will just be a niche character that you can build and have fun with, but not one of the top ones. Next up, Speed Force the Flash, and we'll also talk about Silver Flash because they basically do the same thing, with Speed Force being a little bit better. Like, they both give some fast attack to the entire team, and that's a good support character thing. Like, you can fit that into any team you want to fit it in, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be the most beneficial thing in the world. And Speed Force the Flash is going to have a passive that allows him to dodge damage when he does a swipe right or swipe back, so that's amazing too. Next up, we got Silver Harley Quinn. Silver Harley Quinn is going to have a pretty good passive that a lot of people are sleeping on. It's going to give additional attack, and that's not much, but it's going to give additional damage on the swipe rights, and couple that with the firebox, and you might get some insane values. Yet again, might be C tier. I've put her a little bit higher on a speculation. Didn't get to extensively test that, but yeah. Next up, Silver Robin. He could be, in theory, one of the best combo builders in the entire Injustice 2 Mobile because he's got the chance to actually perform par hit. How many was it? 6. He can perform par hit 4. Nah, he can perform 4. He has 4 fast attack hits. Like if you couple him with something else, you can get to 6. But he can get like 4 fast attack hits per hit because of his passive, and that's going to be great. But yet again, silver character and combo builders are not in high demand right now. Armored Superman. Passive will give defense to the entire team. Passive will make you avoid basic attack damage. Overall, a good character, a good tank, but silver character that you need to build his gears from scratch, and there's not a huge demand for tanks. Same with Starfire, an amazing tank, but we don't really need tanks right now. And then will be the Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero can be pretty decent in arena because he's got a special 2 that can just chain freeze the enemy, but at the end of the day he's not going to like you got the same thing in Multiverse Supergirl that you got in him, and Multiverse Supergirl in my opinion is going to be a little bit better than him, so I'll regard him as a lesser version of Multiverse Supergirl. And you might be like, but Sigvald, haven't you seen those videos from Cartus Gaming where he uses that Sub-Zero to kill teams that are 10 times his threat? Yes, I have. But the thing with this is that, yes, you can pull off some crazy wins with that special trait when you clone an enemy. But the problem with that is, first of all, you need the 5-star Sub-Zero, because you need that passive to be high level to clone actually usable characters. And you need, by the time you get him and you need to play the characters that you get. And by the time you get him at 5 stars, and you learn to play all the characters in Just Mobile so you can play with whatever you can get your hands on, you are most likely not going to need him, because you're most likely going to have some pretty damn well-built arena teams. But yeah, this was it for the B tier. Characters in the B tier are not bad by any means. They're pretty damn good characters. I just, I think I put them in a little bit of a worse light because I was trying to explain why they are not higher tier, but definitely decent characters. Though I wouldn't recommend they are the first thing you build. Like ideally, guys, you want to only start off by building the characters that are in the S tier, but the characters here are going to be pretty decent on, like, to build after you get your account going. Now let's get into the A tier. Starting the A tier will be Reverse Flash, and Reverse Flash is something weird. Like, I just didn't feel like putting him in the S tier. He's in one of the best teams in like one of the top 8 teams for soul rates. He's in one of the best teams in terms of normal rates, coupled with Silver Banshee. He's going to be a good combo builder. He's got 3 fast attack hits. He can swap the energy with the enemy when he tags in, but for some reason I still don't know why I didn't feel like putting him in the S tier. Okay, let me know down in the comments if in the next one the Reverse Flash should be in the S tier. I just felt like he belonged in the A tier. This is the only one I think here in the A tier that I have doubts about putting in the S tier. Next up, Atlantean Armor Aquaman. The best character in the entire game at clearing campaign, great character for arena, the best healer in Champions Arena, but he sucks at raids and soul raids. Next up, we're going to have Ace Green Arrow. Ace Green Arrow is going to be good at one thing and one thing alone. Well, except for the fact that he's got power drain and he's going to lock the power of the enemy, and that can be useful in Arena and C as well. But he's going to enable any character in the game you want to use in Phase 4. Just stick him in a team and he will enable any character in the entire game to be used in Phase 4. And it's also going to be useful if you don't have entropy and you're struggling at Darkseid one-shotting your whole team with the super move. Next up, Atrocitus. Atrocitus is just going to be a better version of EGL, like a character that you can put in any team, but not a staple in any team at the same time. I just feel like Atrocitus bonuses are a little bit better than EGL, that's why he's a little bit of a higher tier. Next up, Black Adam. He can be a bootleg damage dealer for raids and soul raids. He can be a bootleg damage dealer for Arena and Champions Arena. Like, this man performs above average in every single mode, but he's not the best at anything. So that's why overall I put him all the way to the A tier. Next up, Batman or Joker. He can be a pretty damn good damage dealer in all the game modes, and he can be like the second best damage dealer of the Batman team, and he can be a decent replacement for Batman Catwoman if you don't have the gears for her. Darkseid, maybe one of the best characters in the game when it comes to Arena and CA, but the problem is he sucks in raids and soul raids. Next up, we're going to have Just League Aquaman. Just League Aquaman is going to be just like the forgotten Just League member. Like right now, the Just League member, he's not going to be in any top tier raid and soul raid teams. And you might be like, what are you talking about, Sigvald? Even you are using him in raids and soul raids. He's in the classic Just League team. Yes, but that's not the best Just League team you can use. The best Just League team you can use is Just League Superman, Just League Cyborg, and a Batman character, and just like Flash goes with Black Manta usually. So some time ago he was in one of the best teams in the entire game. Now he's in the budget version of that team alone, and there are two characters in his team left to better places because they are in the S tier, both of them. Spoilers there, sorry. Now, John Stewart Green Lantern is going to be an overall good character. He's got armor pierce on his special 2. He's going to give your team additional hazard damage. He's going to give your team immunity to hazard secondary effects. It means you don't get power drained by stuff. Overall, an all-around good character. He can be a bootleg damage dealer. He can be a tank. He can be a tank for phase 3. He can do anything. We got Nightmare Batman, who might yet again be one of the best, if not the best characters for CA, and might be one of the greatest tanks in the game. You might argue for him being a tier lower. I just like him enough to put him in the A tier, so yeah. Next up, we got Multiverse Green Arrow. An all-around very balanced character, gives good passive buffs to the Multiverse team, gives good power drain on his special 1, has dot damage on the special 3. He's just not in any of the higher tier ratings, but he can be a decent damage dealer and he can be a good support character for the Multiverse team in Arena. Multiverse Supergirl, yet again the second choice or the first choice depending on your opinion, as a third member of the Multiverse team in Arena NCA, and she's going to have that freeze that you can just spam all the way through the end of Arena, and that way you can get yourself some pretty easy points. Next up, Raiden. He might be one of the best characters in the game for Reina because his special tree is going to split to the entire team, and when it splits to the entire team, I'm not sure if this was intended, but I think they forgot to program it, but that's how it was since release. Like, his special tree damage that splits to the other two opponents is actually going to ignore their defense, so you can just one-shot and melt full tank teams with that special tree, and that's just very fun to watch, but he does not have a use for Raisins or Raids. Silver Green Lantern is going to give a passive buffs that give you a shield equal to your health when you start the battle, and that shield will make the enemies unable to stagger you when they attack while that shield is up. So that's amazing for Arena and Champions Arena, and that has some use for Raids and Sword Raids too. Amazing stuff. Next up, Enchantress. Like, we talked about the Suicide Squad team. Like, they're amazing in Arena NC, but you need all of them. You need their gears on top of that. And they are not a priority to invest in. But even without gears and without anything, she can remove hazards from the map. So that might be useful in some specific scenarios. So that's why she is all the way over here. Next up, we got Brainiac all the way to A tier, guys. What's happening here? We got Brainiac all the way over here. I'm just going to give Brainiac A tier because, like it or not, I get why a lot of you hate him. Because he's the character that you get your hands on the easiest, that also happens to be a legendary character. And a lot of you are like, oh my god, I got my first legendary character, it's Brainiac, let's go, and he sucks. And he does need suck for everything but one thing, buffing legendary characters. And we got Black Manta, who's one of the best, if not the best characters in the entire game, and Brainiac is going to buff the crap out of him for that, and for that reason he's all the way to the A tier, because he's making Black Manta even more of a monster than he already is. And next up, this is more or less a provisional placement for Martian Manhunter. Like, we need to test this out a little bit more. He might be B tier, he might be S tier. We'll just have to see, but he seems like a decent character. Like, a lot of people got mad because of the bugs, including myself, but now that the bug is fixed and he can properly tag in, he might actually then be the next best combo builder for Silver Banshee or something. He might be a decent damage dealer because the man got 5 fast tech hits. We'll see. For now, it's just a provisional placement in the A tier. And this was everything for the A tier. Those are all around good characters. Like, none of the characters over here we can go wrong with, but still, I do not advise you build those first or prioritize those first, because we got some very powerful ones in the S tier. And last but not least, we got ourselves the S tier. Those characters over here are going to be the best characters in the entire game. You can't really go wrong building any of them, and you should be happy when you get any of them. And let's start off with Multiverse Armored Supergirl. One of the best damage dealers for Arena NCA, decent damage dealer for Raids, not so much for Soul Raids, she's not in the top 6 teams, but other than Soul Raids she performs amazingly. Multiverse The Flash is going to be an amazing support character for the Multiverse team, giving them critical attack chance and critical attack damage, and on top of that he's going to have 3 fast attack hits, that making him an amazing combo builder for pretty much any team in the game if you don't desire to use him with a Multiverse team. Next up, Black Manta, one of the best characters in Just Mobile, if not the best, is going to be the best damage dealer all around, like for Arena, CA, raids, and soul raids. Like, it's not going to be the best damage dealer for soul raids necessarily, or for something like that, but overall, across the board, across all game modes, he's going to be, in my opinion, the best damage dealer. Next up, Batman Ninja Robin. Batman Ninja Robin is going to be used mainly for supporting Batman Ninja Catwoman and giving the Batman Ninja team that huge damage, because they wouldn't deal even close to as much damage without him and his critical lethal attack damage multiplier passive. Other than that, he's a pretty decent character himself. He can stand his ground, but it's better for him to be a support character and let Batman Ninja Catwoman and Batman Ninja Gorilla Grodd do the work. Next up, Batman Ninja Catwoman, yet again one of the top tier characters in Just Mobile. Like, she's amazing. She's going to be great in Arena, NCA, and great in raids and soul raids. Like, she's got healing, she's got immortality, she's got tons of damage, she's got pretty much everything you could want from a character. Next up, we got Predator Batman. Like, Predator Batman can be a good combo builder for Silver Banshee, using his special one to disable the opponent's abilities. And Reverse Flash kind of does the same thing, but I thought that Predator Batman was a little bit better than Reverse Flash because of the fact that he can be a decent damage dealer himself in raids and soul raids. Again, not the best bootleg damage dealer, but a damage dealer nevertheless. And he can have a very good Arena NCA performance because of his passive and that armor piercing special one. Next up, Shazam, the best character in the entire game for CA most likely, because this man got heals. This man got tons of heals, and on top of that is going to increase the attack of Might and Arcane characters, and that's going to make him a go-to character for the King of Flight Aquaman team. Amazing character overall. And also got an infinite combo with the special one. If the enemy is at the right corner, then without Firebox, but if you have Firebox, you can do it from anywhere. Batman Ninja Gorilla Grodd, the best combo builder in the entire game, because he reduces the defense of the enemy, he reduces the attack of the enemy, he gives you power by using his basic attacks, he generates power by doing that, and on top of all of that, he's going to be a decent tank and have an infinite combo and be a decent damage dealer himself for the Batman Ninja team. Next up, Entangling Poison Ivy. Like, we got last up the Joker, who's going to be a great damage dealer in Arena, CA raids, not so much soul raids. We got Heartbreak Harley Quinn, who's going to be an amazing damage dealer in all the game mods, especially in soul raids, and those two are going to be obviously be in the S tier, but they would do nothing without Entangling Poison Ivy, because she gives them that additional dot damage on their basic attacks. Next up, Dr. Fate and Power Girl. Like in the previous tier list, I put Power Girl one tier below Dr. Fate because they do literally the same thing. They reduce the power cost of the abilities by 2. But on top of that, Dr. Fate had an infinite combo but with the Firebox. But thinking back on that, I don't think it's really fair to put Power Girl one tier below, because she still got an amazing passive and she still is a very versatile character and she still is in one of the best teams for raids and soul raids. So yeah, Power Girl and Dr. Fate both in the S tier. Cyborg is going to be a great character. Like, without this guy, Cyborg is like the Entangling Poison Ivy for the Justice League team. The team would not work for him and his boosting of their basic attacks, and at the same time he's a pretty well standalone character himself. Silver Banshee, one of the more accessible damage dealers that you can get your hands on, deals huge amounts of damage in both raids and soul raids, and can be pretty decent in Arena. Justice League Superman. Justice League Superman can be one of the best tanks in the entire game and at the same time one of the best damage dealers in the entire game. Very solid character, amazing in Arena NCA, and also has a good performance in soul raids. Like, I don't think he's in the top 6 teams in normal raids, but in the soul raids he is indeed in the top 6 teams. King of Flight Aquaman, the damage dealer we all know and love. Everybody is going to have this guy, everybody is going to use this guy. This guy is going to be one of the best damage dealers, if not the best. Like, in terms of raids, I'd say he is the best. Like, in terms of raids, it's kind of a tie between him and Black Manta, and in terms of soul raids, it's kind of a tie between him and Heartbreaker Harley Quinn. Like, Harley does more damage if the boss is low, but if the boss is full health, that percentage damage from that special tree will really hurt. So because he's tied with 2 characters in the one in raids and one in soul raids, I go as far to say that he's the best damage dealer that we have. So yeah, S tier. Next up we got Arkham Knight Batman. Arkham Knight Batman is going to be a must-have combo builder for Heartbreak Harley Quinn, we have already talked about her, we have already established how good she is, and on top of that, he's going to be amazing in Arena NCA as well. Just like the Flash. Good damage dealer himself. Good damage dealer himself. You can build a very strong bootleg Justice League team if you don't have Justice League Superman with him as the damage dealer because he's got 4 fast attack hits, and on top of that he's going to be a must-have support for Black Manta later on. And last left the Joker, we already talked about him, but yeah, this is everything for the S tier, and this is everything for the entire tier list pretty much. Make sure to let me know down in the comments what you think about this tier list. Make sure to let me know what you would have changed on it, and you might make me play some characters more to change my opinion on them. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. Dislike it if you dislike it. Maybe hit that bell button, share this tier list with your friends, and I'll see you all in the next one.